up, everybody? Chad here for yet another Taco Tuesday, and I have to apologize. I'm doing another one of those later videos, so I have to have this light here on right above me because it is, like I said, a little bit later in the evening, and there are also storms rolling in here in the Raleigh area, so hopefully I can get this recorded before some rain starts pouring in, but I will just jump right ahead into it. So today I'm going to be going over Orange Virus Tune's Octane 87 tune. So that is something that has been by popular demand from you all, and I wanted to go over it because that is the tune that I have not only been going over personally for the past several months. I did start out with 93, had that for a little while, enjoyed that additional power that does come with 93 Octane with OVTune. They've had it set up that way to advance the timing and get some extra power out of this truck's engine. But with 87, I do just want to go over that with you all now. So getting in a nice little acceleration. Truck sounds good with that exhaust, I love it. So with 87, you are not really getting any additional power, though the torque curve is a bit more linear, and the ACIS does kick in very, very nicely right at 3,500 RPM and pulls all the way to redline very, very nicely. It's something that I do enjoy. So with 87, you're not really getting any additional power out of it, but it does make the truck and transmission shift and run quite a bit more smoothly than it does in stock form. And it's something that's really, really enjoyable that I personally think, you know, it's really good. And the 87 tune is a well-rounded, more affordable, because obviously 87 at the pump is going to be a lot less expensive than 93 is. So Orange Virus has kind of provided a overall tune for the engine and transmission that works very well with 87. So like I said, no additional power there, but the power delivery is a good bit more linear, and it will feel a lot better because your transmission is not going to be hunting nearly as much as it would be in stock form, and it works in a better harmony there with the engine. The engine and transmission work a whole lot better together on the Orange Virus tune, and that is something that we have obviously gone over ad nauseum in the past. So it is something that I think everybody can enjoy. For instance, it might be something that people would consider an entry tune in terms of what you get. So if you don't really want any more power, which, you know, with these trucks there is plenty of power that is right there on tap, it is, you know, you have to wring it out a little bit, because compared to the old 4-liter motor that this Tacoma had in the second generation, power came on a little bit sooner because it was a higher displacement. It didn't have to rev nearly as high to get to the power numbers that this engine puts out, which is ultimately higher than the second gen 4-liters. But then again, the nice thing about this motor is that the displacement's a little bit smaller, you're getting more power and better fuel economy. So for instance, I just filled up yesterday. I've put 30 miles on this tank, and I am averaging 19 miles to the gallon. This is on 87 Octane's tune, and I can report that with tons of highway miles that I've put on this truck in the past several months since, because of moving and just a lot of traveling, some for work, some just on my days off. I've gone and visited some friends in other states and also in other parts of North Carolina, and my average, I would say, is between, for the whole tank, 19 and 20 and a half for my truck, which again is lifted, it's tuned, and of course the tire size is something to take into account for there. But with the larger tire, heavier truck, lifted, still getting about 20 miles to the gallon roughly. Of course, this is the summertime, and you have your summer blend of fuel, which engines do tend to run a bit more efficiently on. I'm not going to complain at all. I think if I can still stay close to the 20s with my truck, I'll be very happy. Now, I don't have a terribly heavy foot, which is hard to have with this tune, because especially when I was running the 93 Octane tune, not only did the engine run a little bit more smoothly on premium, which is just about the same for every engine that you run premium in, power was a lot higher as well. You got that power delivery very much much more smoothly than I've ever experienced. But it was nice to have some additional power, especially up top. When you do run the performance tune, so which I did a video on a couple months ago, and it raises that red line to, I believe it's 6,800, 6,900 RPM, so 800 to 900 higher than stock redline at 6,000. You are getting about 30 more horsepower according to Orange Virus in their dyno tests, and that is throughout the range, but especially up top. So you're looking at pretty high horsepower numbers. I think it's like 308 or something like that, because the stock is 278 horsepower. So when you do Orange Virus's tune with 87 performance that high, you are getting about 308 horsepower out of this motor, and of course higher torque as well, which was a fun experience. It definitely made the truck feel lighter. Now, of course, my truck is a little bit heavier than stock with all the additional stuff I've added to it because of the lift, the tires, anything that I've talked about already. Orange Virus has done a good job in making this truck get a really nice amount of power out of that 93. But of course, that is not something that you have to do to really get a much better feel of power, because as I stated previously, this motor does make tons of power, and it moves the truck along very well for what it is. And that's why the 87 tune still works very, very great, because it smoothens out and refines Toyota's tuning. Orange Virus, like I said, and I'm going to talk about it for a while, has done a great job at just getting the most out of this motor with refinements to the valve timing and ignition timing, as well as just making this transmission cooperate very, very well with this motor. I have no complaints about it. The truck has done great in the time that it's been tuned, and I loved it even before it was tuned. But specifically with the Orange Virus tune, 87 is an overall very refined, enjoyable experience, and I think everybody will enjoy just as much as I have. And of course, the plus is that Orange Virus has so many tunes for each individual octane. So there's gear lock, where you're able to kind of have a manual mode, which is enjoyable. I personally haven't tried it, but a few of you all have actually responded, and by reading on the forums, gear lock is very, very enjoyable, especially if you do use it for towing. It's a really good one for that. Of course, there's performance, which raises the red line, and you do get a little bit more power out of the 87 performance tune, because again, you're using the lower octane, but it is raising the red line, and you're bringing in more air, and of course able to make more power with a higher red line. And then of course there is their standard tune, which is what I'm running right now. So no gear lock, no performance, stock red line, the shifting pattern that Orange Virus has implemented into their tune, and it runs really, really nicely. So that's about all I do have for this video. The 87 octane tune is a very user-friendly tune, as all of them are, and it does make this truck really, really shine and super, super enjoyable, and I would recommend it to all of you. And of course, I do have to remind you, have the customary reminder for the Orange Virus tune giveaway that we're doing. So there will be a link below, and that does end August 7th. That is something that had come into play here recently, and me and Bandit were talking, like, oh shoot, well, we're not going to quite reach 10,000 subscribers, but we did just recently hit 8,000 subscribers, so we can't thank you all enough for getting us to that point. So thank you again for that. We have gone over on social media, but wanted to thank you all here in video form while talking about this tune, and since it does relate to the giveaway, of course, had to bring it up and mention it to you all. So if you all do have any questions or comments, please do leave them below, and we will have a lot more Orange Virus tune stuff coming out here in the future. There is another video kind of in the works with Orange Virus being, a supporter of the channel and partnering with us. We do have more coming out on that, and this next one that I'll be doing is going to be pretty exciting, so do stay tuned for that. And if you have any other questions related to this video or anything in the past, or if you want to suggest something, please do leave that below. We are always looking for suggestions and seeing what we can do and bringing you all the content that you want to see here on these Tacomas or four-wheelers or anything else in the industry. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody.